All right, today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to step back in time, way back, to a world that's right on the edge of massive, massive change. And we're going to see it all through the eyes of one teenage girl. Let's get into it. I mean, think about it. What was it really like to be a teenager before, well, before everything? Before World Wars, TV, the internet? It's kind of hard to wrap your head around, right? We're so plugged in all the time. What were the actual day-to-day worries, the big dreams? For a kid growing up just moments before the world changed forever. So, to get some answers, we're going to zoom in on one specific time and place. Picture this: a sunny afternoon, October 1914, in a bustling, growing city, San Diego, California. The world is just about to be turned upside down by war, but they don't know that yet. And this is where we're going to meet our guide for this journey, a young woman named Emily Auble. Okay, so our story kicks off in a pretty familiar setting, actually. It's the end of a school day at San Diego High. You can almost hear that final bell ringing. So let's meet her. This is Emily Auble. Now, she's not a queen or a general or anyone you'd find in a big history book. She's just a regular 15-year-old kid. By all accounts, she was pretty reserved, a little more mature than the other kids her age. She and her family had moved out to San Diego from Chicago a few years back. You know, you can learn a ton about someone from what their best friend says, right? And this quote from her friend Gladys, wow, it says a lot. It really paints this picture of a girl who's completely oblivious to how charming she is. Her head is just somewhere else entirely. So what's on her mind then? Well, while her friend Gladys is probably talking about the latest school gossip, Emily's over here stressing about a history exam and helping with the family's finances. Right away, you get this sense that she's carrying a burden that's, well, it's a lot heavier than what most kids her age are dealing with. And that's really the core of her story, isn't it? This mix of being a kid, living in sunny California, but also having these very adult responsibilities on her shoulders. It's a totally different kind of coming of age. Okay, so let's break down why she had all this responsibility. First off, her dad, Charles, was 65. That's a lot older than most of her friends' parents. And the whole reason they moved from Chicago to San Diego was for his health. So this wasn't just a fun move to the coast. It put Emily right into this central supportive role in the family. She was even helping manage the money. But, she still found her own simple pleasures, like her garden or watching the ships come in. I mean, just look at this contrast. It's night and day, really. You've got Emily, worried about her dad's health and balancing the family budget. And then there's Gladys, whose biggest stress is her penmanship and whether she can go see the moving pictures. It's not that Gladys is a bad person or anything, it's just their worlds are completely different. Emily's is just heavy. But it's important to know her life wasn't all doom and gloom. Not at all. Her mom had this really hopeful way of looking at their new life in San Diego. She saw it as this incredible opportunity, a place that was just buzzing with potential, where anything felt possible. That idea of hope and promise, it's a really big part of their family's story. And, that feeling of change, it wasn't just happening inside the Auble house. It was happening everywhere. 1914 was such a weird, fascinating moment in time. It's like the world had one foot planted firmly in the old ways of the 19th century, but the other foot was dangling, ready to step right into the modern 20th. You could literally see the old and new smashing up against each other. So in school, kids were still super worried about having perfect, proper penmanship. And at night, the streets were lit by gas lamps. But then you'd see these newfangled automobiles puttering down the road, and everyone, absolutely everyone, was getting excited about this brand new thing called moving picture shows. Yeah, this tension was everywhere you looked. You had the old world traditions, right? Like young ladies needing a chaperone to go anywhere, writing out all your essays by hand, the whole family walking to church on Sunday, and then bam! Right alongside that, you have motor cars on the streets, these wild movie serials about girl detectives, and just this energy of a city that was growing and changing super fast. And here's a perfect little story of how those two worlds collided. So Emily wants to go to the movies. She asks her dad, who's definitely a man from an older generation, and he says yes. He actually calls it a well-deserved treat for her. But there's a catch. And it's a very old world catch. She has to have a proper chaperone with her. All right, so let's fast forward a bit. Her day is winding down, the sun is setting, and we find Emily in her room. And like any teenager, she's thinking about the future. A future that probably felt like a giant blank canvas. So what was she thinking about? What were her dreams on that quiet October evening? You know the feeling. Homework's done, chores are finished, you've got the weekend to look forward to. Her mind just starts to drift, thinking about what's next, what's out there for her. Imagine her just looking out her window at the California night. The possibilities must have seemed absolutely endless. Am I going to go on to college? Am I going to get married and have kids? All those huge questions. It's that moment of just pure, unwritten potential, you know? That thrilling, kind of scary feeling of being young and not knowing what's coming next. But here's the thing. We have the benefit of hindsight. We know what she couldn't possibly know that night. Her future wasn't a blank page at all. It was already being written. In just 2 years, her father would be gone. Her whole life would pivot. She'd have to leave school to help support her mom. And then she'd meet a young Marine named Lyle Carringer, and they would build a life together, partners for nearly 60 years. But on that specific October night, she knew none of that. She was just a 15-year-old girl out in her small garden, tending to her flowers. And it's such a perfect metaphor, isn't it? She thought she was just nurturing these little plants. But what she was really, truly growing was the strength, the patience, and the responsibility that would carry her through her entire life. And that really brings us to the big takeaway here. Emily's story is such a powerful reminder that our lives aren't always shaped by the big, flashy, dramatic events. A lot of the time, they're built in the quiet, everyday moments. The homework you finish, the chores you do without being asked, the time you spend with a friend. It really makes you think, doesn't it? What are the quiet, simple things you're doing right now that are shaping a future you can't even begin to see?